Chapter 3, page 85. Reading: Art as the Mirror of Everyday Life. When children start to draw and paint, they deal with the images that they know best: mother and father, sisters and brothers, the teacher, the house, the dog. Many artists never lose their interest in everyday things. So much of our finest art depicts subjects that are close to the artist's personal world. Art that depicts the moments of everyday life and its surroundings is known as genre. Often, its purpose is a simple one: to record, to please the eye, to make us smile. Images like this occur in all periods of the history of art, in all cultures and parts of the world. A charming example from China is court ladies preparing newly woven silk. No grand political or social issues are presented here. Instead, the artist has depicted a delightful scene of daily activity. 3 women and a girl stretch and iron a piece of silk, while a little girl peeks underneath to see what is going on. The women's pastel kimonos, their quiet gestures, and the atmosphere of pleasant shared work give us a gentle masterpiece of Chinese genre. Equally charming genre pieces occur in an early French manuscript, one page of which we shall study here. During the Middle Ages, about 1100 to 1500 AD, wealthy people paid artists to illuminate, hand-paint, books, especially prayer books. In the early 15th century, the Limbourg brothers illuminated one of the most famous books in the history of art, Le Très Riche, the Very Rich Book of Hours. It contains a calendar, with each month's painting showing a seasonal activity. The February page, shown here, depicts a small hut with 3 people around a fire. They have pulled their clothes back to get maximum warmth from the fire. Outside this small house, we see a snow-covered landscape. There are sheep and birds and 3 men. One man is rushing toward the hut with his cloak over his face to keep in the warm breath. Another man is chopping wood. The third is walking up a hill with a donkey. In the background, there is a church. Among the earliest images of daily life to have come down to us are those in the tombs of ancient Egypt. Egyptians imagined the afterlife to be the same as earthly life in every detail. To make sure that the person had a good afterlife, scenes of the pleasures of life in Egypt were painted on the tomb walls. Sometimes models were used instead. This model was one of many found in the tomb of an Egyptian official named Meketra, who died around 1900 BCE. Meketra himself is depicted at the center, seated on a chair in the shade. Seated on the floor to his right is his son. To his left are several scribes, professional writers, with their writing materials ready. Overseers of Meketra's estate stand by as men herd his cattle in front of Meketra so that the scribes can count them. The herders' gestures are animated as they move the cattle along with their sticks, and the cattle themselves have beautiful markings. Artists have often turned to stories for subject matter. History has furnished artists with many stories, for history itself is nothing more than a story we tell ourselves about the past, a story we write and rewrite. In his 1942 painting called John Brown Going to His Hanging, Horace Pippin took for his subject an event from history to which he had a personal connection. During the 1850s, the United States was politically and emotionally divided by the conflict between people who were in favor of slavery and those who hated it, called abolitionists. Among the most fervent of the abolitionists was a white man named John Brown, whose sometimes violent activities to try to free the slaves caused him to be arrested and put on trial in the state of Virginia. He was found guilty and put to death by hanging on December 2, 1859. The artist Horace Pippin, a descendant of black slaves, was not yet born, but his grandmother was present at the hanging of John Brown, and she pictured the scene many times in words. Her grandson later transformed the word picture into this painting. We see John Brown at center, against the white jailhouse in the background. His arms are bound to his sides. All the people on the wagon are dressed in black, but the wagon is drawn by two white horses, surely symbolic of the black-white drama. Directly over Brown's head is a bare tree limb, again, surely symbolic of the tree from which he will soon be hanged. Most of the people watching this are white. A lone black woman at far right turns her back on the scene and stares out fiercely, her arms crossed in anger. This figure is the artist's grandmother.
End of CD1.